This past Sunday, Pastor Scott was talking about weariness. And I think it resonated with so many of us because in this season, we have felt weary. Yesterday, Monday, our county went from level orange to level purple. We just skipped right over red and went from having some things we could do to back on lockdown again. And for me, when I get weary, the frustration comes really easy. And I noted it pretty quickly after that regulation was changed yesterday, and I realized that we weren't going to be able to meet in person anymore. And a lot of the things that we were able to do are now being restricted again. I received an email from somebody, and my response was frustration. I did not respond back typing words of frustration, but internally I'm like, wow, this is frustration that probably isn't warranted. I know for me, I am feeling weary now that we're kind of back at all of this again. This morning I was reading Philippians, and I want to talk to you about what Philippians might say about some of the weariness we're feeling. And you might notice the next few weeks my devotions are probably going to be out of Philippians because I'm going to start reading through that book right now. It's a very encouraging, uplifting book. Well, Paul starts this, and when he's writing this book, he's actually in prison. He's in prison. And yet the first 8, 9, 10 verses, you would think he was sitting in a garden with birds chirping and flowers all around, and the encouragement of God is in his eyes and coming out on the paper. Instead, he's in chains. And yet here are some of the things that he's saying. I want to encourage you in your grace and in your hope and in your joy, and I love you all so much. And then he writes this. He said, "This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more. You may be able to discern what is best, may be pure and blameless, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God." That's a paraphrase of verses 9 to 11 of Philippians. You see, Paul's circumstances were terrible. He was in prison. The next few verses after that talk about how God is using that time where he's in prison to actually have people find Jesus and be more bold in telling others about Jesus. So what does that have to do with weariness? We need to look for the hope and the joy and the peace. The circumstances we're in, they don't seem like they're going away any too quickly, right? And that can get old and weary. And we're so quick to come up with all of the things that we dislike about right now. But I'd like you to stop. If you have a few minutes this morning, get out a piece of paper and write down all the hopeful, all the good things that God's doing, all of the joys that you have, all of the things that you can look forward to that God is doing in this season. And it might be a refining thing. Wow, God's really refining but it could also just be a joy, a hope, an opportunity that God's given you right now because of the season we're in. And then when you write down that list, I want you to speak it out loud. Let your ears hear what you wrote on the paper. There's something amazing when our minds move to our hands and then our eyes move to our ears, that God can put encouragement in us and hope in us, and that realization that there really is stuff that I need to take advantage of. When we get weary, I get negative. I get frustrated. I don't know if any of you are with me on that, but if you are, I need to fight that, and you do too. So write down the hopeful, write down the good, write down the things that you want to achieve, and then speak it out loud so that your mind can hear what your mind has already thought. When we put all that together, it gives us an opportunity to move forward with that hope and that joy and that love and that future ahead of us. So let's do that today. I know, there can be weariness, but God doesn't want us to sit in the weariness. He wants us to move out into hope and joy and love and kindness and take care of the opportunities that are in front of us. So let's do that today. Have a great one.